A long time ago, on a very peculiar day, my mirror lured someone out of his bed and opened a doorway to my workshop. I do not know if the mirror was being mischievous or malicious. Perhaps it knew that the curious intruder had a role to play in my project. I was putting the finishing touches on my latest creation. A world for things that have been forgotten.
All right, talking about that, not that plain old Mickey Mouse, we're talking about that epic Mickey Mouse, kick-ass Mickey Mouse, larger than life Mickey Mouse.
Right.
Vikings singing his praise, and he
ass-kicking Mickey Mouse, gospel singing Mickey Mouse.
gospel singing Mickey
I don't know, I
Mouse.
just ran out of shit, man. So today, people, we are joined by Jason Murphy, a.k.a. The Murph.
Howdy.
Of course, there's always going to be Kevin Barrett lurking around in the background. Epic Kevin.
Hello.
And then today, in the role of Nick Hodges, we have Zeke Slider.
Now, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't play video games 24 hours, you know.
But you did with this one, it sounds like.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll admit that much.
Yeah, I was keeping up with some of your posts and the things you were talking about. This was kind of like crack for you, man. You're like, I'm just loving this game. I can't get enough.
I was checking out his Facebook posts, and it was like he was dictating his status updates as he played, like having someone type them in for him.
Zeke, we had you on because, well, for one thing, we have been saying that we were going to have some Spill members come in and often do guest reviews, and I thought that this would be a perfect one for you to come in and do because you wrote a very, very good review of it on Spill, which I promptly featured as soon as I saw it. And
so you were the one that pressed the button.
Man, I'm the one that does everything. See, that's why, Zeke, you don't know how much of a hand I have in this stuff. Now, you send gifts to everybody, but you have sent a gift to everybody on Spill. But you've never sent me anything. You never shown me any respect.
Well, you don't have an Amazon wish list, dude, and you've already explained why. But you know, hey, we could exchange messages later since you now have my contact, and we'll work something
Is
out.
this what you brought him on for?
I brought him on to intimidate and chastise him. Get me Zeke Slider on the phone right now. You thought you were here to review Epic Mickey. Nah, I'm about to put an epic tongue lashing ass whooping on your ass right now.
What you don't realize, Zeke, is that there is only Corey. All of the other people on the website are just different facets of his personality.
When you come out and see them, like if you come to a Spill event and you see these guys walking around, they're hired actors.
Yeah.
Throw the illusion off. Yeah.
Cheap ones too.
Yeah.
That makes a whole lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Actually, the guy that played Cyrus at the Spill pub crawl, homeless dude. Schizo homeless dude, no less. He kept talking about the war, and he's like, "Oh yeah, comic books."
Yeah, and Carlisle and I, we're the same person. If you notice, we're never in the same room.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. Hey, anybody seen Corey? You know?
It's like Clark Kent if Clark Kent and Superman were both dipshits.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or if Clark Kent went to a phone booth and came out as a black man, it was kind of the same thing.
Now that's a superpower.
Where the trouble at? In the white women. But no, Zeke, I thought it would be good to have you on because you did write an excellent article review of the game, and I did feature that happily because I thought it was very nice. You've written quite a few things, but I thought that was good. And I was just telling these guys before, we just like to show the Spill members that we care. And we like to bring you on every now and then just to keep that whole interactivity going between us and you guys. So
And it's less work for us too. So.
Yeah. You know, I pretty much just got through the first loading screen on the game, and I said, "Yeah, fuck it, Zeke will talk about it. I don't care."
Wow. Thanks.
And based on that loading screen, this game is shit. No, so we decided to bring you on here to have an opposing opinion to ours because I think that, judging from your review, that I won't say it's drastically different from what we thought, but it's a different spin on it. Then you saw some things in there that we did not see. But let's go ahead and get into the game right now. Now, and by the way, we don't have Nick Hodges on because I'm serious about this. We called up Nick and said, "Do you want to get on for Epic Mickey?" And he said, "Can you guys just go ahead without me? I'm eating pasta right now." No shit. He was eating lasagna. He's like, "Hey, mate, I got lasagna on right now. Can you just do it without me?" I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, what is with you and pasta every time we get ready to record?" But anyway, so Zeke, Jason and I have played the game, and let me tell you something. First of all, before I jump into this, I am a Disney fanatic. Now, I keep that in the closet because, if you come out and say you love Disney and you grew up on Disney and you collect Disney stuff, I mean, you automatically qualify as gay. And that's no lie.
If you're a black man, you're 30 and you say that, people are like, all right, please stay away from my children.
Yeah, so now,
well, it's a good thing I'm already out of the closet then.
Yeah. What are you out of the closet as a gay man or as a Disney philiac, or both?
Both.
Okay. Seriously, are you gay? I didn't know that.
You couldn't figure that out from a couple of the things I've posted on Spill. Oh wait, I don't really broadcast that, but whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this means that Corey is actually more gay because he's relating to you on the Disney side. So then, maybe this is your coming out moment, Corey.
No. So Zeke, how many collectibles do you have?
Oh man.
No, okay, that explains a lot why you like this game so much. Then, no, I'm just messing with you, Zeke. No, now Zeke, here's the deal. Okay, now you and I guess we really can relate on that Disney level because I love Disney. I take it that you love Disney also.
Yeah, I grew up with it. I'm more with the stuff that I actually am familiar with from the mid 80s through the 90s and up until now. All the stuff prior to, I'd say, the 70s, I'm just now getting around to when time permits. But I'm pretty much up to date. I'm more on the theme park end than I am on the film end, though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, see, this is why the game appealed to me because this game is pretty much an ode to the classic golden era of Disney animation. In fact, the Mickey Mouse that they're using in this game, I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of that Mickey Mouse back when Mickey Mouse was, he had nothing but he was like little orphan Annie. He had nothing but pupils for eyes. That's kind of like the 1935 to 1939 era of Mickey Mouse that they're using. And let's get right down to it. They just used it because it's easier to animate dots than pupils and eyes. So yeah, they ain't fooling nobody with that. So when I saw that they were using that Mickey Mouse and I saw some of the stuff that they were referencing, not only just things from animation, but some stuff that is early on in the live action era of the Disney studios. I thought man,
Walt
this is
Disney's
be great.
hatred of Jews. That was a big selling point.
Of course.
Yeah.
And speaking of being gay, his homosexuality finally came out in the game. So
wow, I must have missed that level. Which one were you talking about? I'm like on my third playthrough and I haven't seen either of those.
Oh, you didn't.
Well, maybe you were the wrong guy to get because I unlocked that one really quickly.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to that
really?
secret level where Walt Disney was in a dress running a concentration camp. You didn't see that?
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't use the thinner ability.
It was pretty dark.
Because I know when you use thinner, you become like a super jerk, but I didn't know you become like a racist or anything like that in the game. I got to do that my fourth time around now.
Yeah. Go back and play it again. It's a lot of secrets in there. A lot of secrets. No, you said that out of all the levels here, there is a Pirates of the Caribbean level that you have to go to, including Tron, and then there's a Haunted Mansion level that you go through.
The levels are broken down to let's see. You start off in the castle, then you go through It's a Small World, Tomorrowland, which is kind of Tron. Adventureland, which is Pirates of the Caribbean, and then Haunted Mansion. And then you're pretty much, as soon as you get to the Haunted Mansion level, as soon as you complete that, you're pretty much on the last leg of the game.
And then you said the Haunted Mansion level is pretty scary, like the look and
I made the mistake, and just call me a wuss right now if you want, Jason, because I'll take it. Okay, thank you. I made the mistake of playing that Haunted Mansion level first time through at night, and I was playing rather heavily with thinner. that first playthrough because I just got easily frustrated with all the puzzles, and I was like, screw it, I'm erasing everything.
And then the ghost of Eddie Murphy's career shows up and starts singing "Party All the Time."
Mickey likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time.
Zeke started screaming, and then he realized he was actually huffing paint thinner.
It gets dangerously close to that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And we bring up Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy was in the original movie version of the Haunted Mansion, which is scary on its own. So,
but it gets dangerously close to that. Like the second time through, I played it with with paint as best I could. And what really gets you in the Haunted Mansion level is the background music. Because if you play it trying to be the good Mickey, you get the whimsical kind of Haunted Mansion music that the Eddie Murphy movie had for most of its soundtrack. But if you play it with the thinner used heavily, which is what I did the first time through, I got this really eerie and dark, almost murderous kind of soundtrack.
Zeke's up there crying, playing the game, all terrified.
No, I wasn't trying to. I was just like really freaked out. I was like, I should not be playing this in the dark. And I know it's a Disney game. This shouldn't scare me as bad as it is right now. But the music and the atmosphere was what actually got me if you go through the thinner route.
Zeke's up there getting scared of a Mickey Mouse game.
I can't get past that. I can't think of anything funny to say because it's just the joke is telling itself.
He's looking at Mickey Mouse and Zeke's up there sweating.
Okay, how would you like it then if you came face to face with this giant twisted looking animatronic with the head of the old hag on it from Snow White? Just, she's got that deathlock stare at you. I mean, well, okay, Corey would probably be turned on by that.
I know. I'd be like, hey, that looks like a date to me. Now, as we said, if it was Eddie Murphy said, Mickey likes to party, I'd be screaming my ass off. No!
I'm imagining Zeke he's playing in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden Mickey just stops and turns around and looks at him and says, Zeke, kill for me. Kill for me, Zeke.
He's pointing at Zeke. No, it really is like this love letter back to that era of Disney, back when Disney himself, Walt Disney, had his hands in a lot of things, especially in that era of animation. So I was looking forward to this because of that alone. Now, in the game itself, what you do is you have this era of animation in Disney, but it's all become darker because Mickey Mouse has gone down, and Mickey Mouse is always fucking up something. If you ever seen like the Sorcerer's Apprentice or something, you got to keep an eye on that mouse, man. He's just doing things. So he goes down into and they do take an element from Fantasia here. What's that wizard's name? Sin Yid?
Yen Sid. It's Disney spelled backwards.
Okay, yeah. So he goes down into Yen Sid's laboratory, office, whatever, and he ends up spilling some stuff on this model of this world. And so months later, Mickey finds out that because he spilled thinner on this model, he somehow just messed up the whole Disney world.
I heard the noises and rushed to see what had happened. But I was too late. The world I had created was ravaged, a wasteland. The mysterious intruder was gone. I did not learn his identity. Well, not for a very long time.
It's darker now. Things are not complete. Things have, you see pieces of buildings and pieces of the world missing that reveal darker elements of this world and darker versions of the characters. And so as Mickey Mouse, you have to go through with a magic paintbrush, and you can do one or two things with this paintbrush. You can either kind of fill in these darker spots of this world that are missing with the paintbrush and the magic paint, or you can use thinner to take away and destroy the world, but also reveal certain secrets and destroy enemies. And depending on what you do with that paintbrush depends on the kind of turn that you take in the game, because they do have consequences. As Zeke Slider was just saying, you can actually end up being sort of a jerk if you use too much thinner because you're destroying things, or you can end up being a nicer person or a nicer mouse because you're using the paint to rebuild stuff. And if you use the paint on enemies, it makes them your friend and your ally instead of actually destroying them.
How do you actually use the paint? I mean, since it's a Wii game, are you actually like drawing on the screen with the Wiimote, or is it just a button press, or how does that go down?
It's a combination of the two. Basically, the first level's a tutorial, and they tell you straight up, okay, hit the B button on the Wii remote, and you'll do paint. And if you hit the Z button on the nunchuck, you'll use thinner. Now, to say you want to like paint a wall, you just point the Wii remote to the TV screen, and a little cursor comes up, and then you hit either button, and Mickey will shoot paint or thinner in that area. After that, it's pretty much just like, okay, it'll appear in a hexagon shape if it's part of a wall, or you'll paint back a prop from It's a Small World.
Well, it's a lot like what I was telling Corey. It kind of borrows a mechanic a little bit from Super Mario Sunshine from the GameCube, where you're just kind of spraying it and it'll get clean. But with this, it's paint or paint thinner, so it makes it go away or it refurbishes it, so to speak. So it reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun, I thought. It takes a little while to get used to, especially if you don't have the sensor in a sweet spot, because you have a target that you can point to get your targeting down of what you want to have your paint or your thinner aimed at. But sometimes if you don't have it pointed in the right direction, it gets stuck in the corner of the screen. I don't know if anybody else experienced that. Maybe it was just me.
I had that problem, but I also noticed that the cursor tends to like jump all over the screen. It's not a smooth motion whenever you're trying to aim for what you want to paint.
Yeah, it is true. You know what? The cool thing about the story in this game, though, that I really like that they acknowledged is that, you know, back when Disney was starting out, I mean, when you had like 1928 and a few years after that when he was doing his black and white cartoons, you had all these characters that you don't see anymore, like Horace the Horse, Clarabelle Cow. And then if you know the history of Disney, there was a character that Disney started out with called Oswald the Rabbit that he lost the rights to, and that's why he created Mickey Mouse. So they bring that into the game. Oswald is, well, he's pissed off about being forgotten.
He's a little bastard.
Yeah, he's like, you know, fuck you, Mickey, man. You know why you getting all the credit? I was first.
The little guy holds a grudge.
yeah, he's mad as hell, man. So he goes off and he creates this world where all the forgotten characters, or most of the forgotten characters from Disney's creations, they just go to live in this town. And this town has kind of been ruined by Mickey. He's, you know, Oswald's like, you know, fuck, man. You know, okay, you're Mickey Mouse, you got everything in the world. Now you just you still are messing with my program right now. You know, it's like, can't you just leave me alone? So Oswald is pretty angry. So you have to go and up against Oswald to try to figure out what's he so angry about and see if you can do anything to like fix this little bastard. But I think the game is a lot of fun. I had when I was, on certain levels. I mean, when you look at it, it is a straight platforming game, something like Super Mario, Mario Galaxy, or like you said, Super Mario Sunshine. I can see that very much in there. But
mentioning it in the same breath, though, honestly, is kind of an insult to Mario.
You think so?
Yeah, because it does not even come close to any Mario game I've ever played, and that includes like Dr. Mario Paint from like the Super Nintendo or whatever.
That was my first game, dude. There.
Well, you know, Zeke, I'm eager to hear what you have to say about this, because I was kind of in between. Because listen, I like the platforming levels in this. I like the atmosphere of the game. I mean, it is a darker version of the Disney that we've seen, and I like going through, and you know, the effects that you use when you're using the thinner and the paint, I think those were gorgeous. But it, you know, at its core, it is a platforming game, like the Mario games I was just mentioning. Unless you're Jason, who's like, you bastard, don't even like compare the two. But
it is a platforming game in the sense that that's what you're essentially doing, like jumping from platform to platform. But it's also got a little bit of Zelda-ish RPGs. Like right now, like right before I jumped on here, I was playing through Gremlin Village, and I did something that I didn't do my first couple of times through, which is go into all the little gremlin houses. And it's pretty much just like, you know, whenever you would play Zelda, you could raid their houses, you know, for currency, power-ups, you know, and they don't give a shit. They're just like, oh, it's Mickey. We're so happy he's here. He's fixed It's a Small World for us, but he's stealing from our personal lives.
I know.
See, that's the thing. Mickey's a prick. Mickey's such a douchebag. He thinks he can get away with anything because he's Mickey fucking Mouse. Oh, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. He's like, yeah, you know what? You're a gremlin. Guess what? I'm Mickey fucking Mouse. See those ears? See those ears on the castle over there? That's me, bitch.
It is kind of true. It's like,
Screw
hey,
screw the castle. There's like a mountain full of all of his merchandise from the day he was like the very first piece of merchandise that was ever produced with his image on it, up until like I think the most recent thing that I found in that level was a Super Nintendo cartridge that of a video game nobody remembers that had Mickey Mouse in it.
What was it called? Mickey's oh God, what was that game?
Masquerade or something like that. So it had an image of what looked like Mickey in a Venetian kind of Harlequin outfit, and I was like, I don't even remember this game. When the hell did this come out for the SNES?
Wow, yeah, that was back in the day. See, that's what's so cool about this game is like it really does seem sincere that they are trying to. This is Disney's attempt to get into gaming, like a real attempt to get into gaming. Where before, you know, Disney was a pimp, and Disney was just hoeing all of his stuff out. It was just like, yeah, we'll give you this property to make a crappy game, but you know, if you give us some money. And so, you know, they would just lend their titles out for like small games, especially back in the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days. I mean, you saw Aladdin and all those kind of games coming out, and Goof Troop and all of those kind of stuff. But this is their real attempt into gaming. I think the problems that we see here are, you know, one, yeah, it's funny how it does have RPG elements in it. Mickey will go into a house and Gremlins and other characters will be like, hey, there goes Mickey. And they're like, oh, there's Mickey leaving with my TV. Okay, that's cool. But but you're right. There are RPG elements in there separated from just being a straight platformer, especially when you're using something like the thinner, because you use the thinner often to discover secret areas and new places that you can go into that you didn't, secret items that you couldn't find before. So that's cool. Now, I think the biggest problems that I have with the game are, one, you have these, I guess, missions that you can do that are just really repetitive, man. You go to one person and they say, okay, well, I can fix this broken machine right here if you go get me a power spark. Go see Clarabelle Cow. You go see Clarabelle Cow. Oh, yeah, you know what? I can get that for you too, but you got to deliver this pie to Horace the horse. Okay, you go see Horace. You know what? I'm missing a book, man. Can you go find that book? And I'm like, fuck, get somebody, just give me something. Yeah, I'm tired of running errands for one person after another. It gets a little repetitive in that area. Also,
you just really want to go, like I was saying earlier, it's like, God damn it, I'm Mickey Mouse. Fix this shit.
Yeah, it just comes to a point where you just like, you want to grab somebody by the collar. Do you know who I am? You go give me that goddamn spark right now and quit sending me on these errands. You know,
like, well, there is a way you could do a shortcut around that. Like, if you know exactly where the items are that you're supposed to fetch, you could actually get them before you activate the quest. And as soon as you show up, all you have to, some characters will recognize, oh, you found my my lost wrench. Here's your power spark, and then a little prompt will say that, hey, you completed this quest even though you never got it.
That is not always true, because I had a pie for Horace the horse, and I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna go in with this pie, because one of the characters was like, I made this pie for him. He's gonna be so happy to get it, and I go in there. And he mentions nothing about the pie. He's like, I lost my book about detective stuff. Can you go find that book? And I'm like, man, I just bought you a fucking pie.
Yeah. Horace is like, I lost my pie. Oh, you got a pie? I lost my oh shit. What? Go get me a copy of Mama's Family on VHS. Yeah. Try that one, smart guy.
I'm like, okay, he never even mentioned the pie, man.
I had that same problem with Pete in City Hall, because he'll send you off on missions, mostly boss related. Like, he'll say, hey, my Tron version of myself is screwing up Tomorrowland, can you go fix that for me? And then when you come back after finishing that boss battle, he's like, he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that you went on this mission to help his Tron self get better or defeat him or whatever. He'll just say, oh, by the way, the bunny children from Mickey Junk Mansion have invaded Mean Street, you got to go clean that up. I'm like, what about your cousin over in Tomorrowland? Don't you want to know how I dealt with him?
Well,
this
you know
really
how
seems. This really. I mean, what you guys are describing. I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like a kid's game. Are there any enemies in this game? I mean, do you get like killed or anything?
Yes, there are.
I died several times, and it's mostly not at the enemy's hands, but just at the fact that later on in the game there are so many of those enemies that they're just pushing you into thinner pools that essentially dissolve Mickey on contact.
Oh man, yeah, there are a lot of enemies in here. The enemies in the game. One of the things we failed to mention here are your allies and your enemies here. The world has been taken over by different types of blotches. They're just these black, oily looking characters who come in various forms. Sometimes they're like they're oily versions of the brooms are the from Fantasia, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Are they just these blobs with crazy looking faces on them that do anything from shoot stuff at you, explode, or bite you? And you can either, as I said, you can destroy them with thinner, where they just melt into puddles of goo, or if you shoot them with your paint, they turn blue and friendly, and they start attacking the other blotches that are against you until you turn those too. And then there's other enemies, like as Zeke was mentioning, you have the bunny babies or the bunny children who look real cute, but these little motherfuckers, they gang up on you. And they pick you up,
bastards.
and they look cute, but they all just they're like those little dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, the little ones that gang up on you and eat you. Like one comes up to you and it's squeaking like, and then you hear all this, and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by these little purple and pink bunnies. And they pick your ass up and they throw you into a pool of thinner, which is like a sea of green. It's kind of scary sometimes. And yeah,
it's essentially what would happen if Corey all of a sudden noticed that he got a lot of groupies, and then each one of the groupies slowly revealed themselves as his ex-girlfriends.
It picked me up and threw me off of a cliff or something.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what you bitches doing? Help!
It's like they're all friendly at first, and then when there's enough to pick them up, they'll pick you up and just throw you off of like a cliff or something.
Oh yeah.
And avoiding those pits and falls, because there are a lot of falls because it's a platformer, is so maddening because of that damned camera. It's like I'm running along and there's this deep pit right in front of me that I didn't otherwise notice unless you stop, switch perspectives, look around, and make sure you're not going to fall, because the camera sucks.
Yeah, the camera is the main. No matter what glowing review you hear about this game, the camera in the game sucks, man. I can't tell you how many times I missed a jump, or how many times I got attacked by stuff and couldn't see where I was supposed to aim because there was a leaf in the way. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous, man.
And what's really stupid about the camera is that this was an issue way back in like the PS1 days of platformers. You would have think they would have fixed that by now, especially given the scope of the environments where you'll be outside 1 second and then you'll be inside the next.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know what it is with people, but I mean, your camera, that's one of the main things in a game that you got to fix.
All right, so you guys generally have said everything negative about it that I can think of. What's good about this game? Like, how does it? What makes the game fun?
Well, before we get into the positive, because I do want to end on a positive note with this. One more negative thing about the game, actually a couple. There are screens. They're pretty much games that take the place of loading screens. When you go to another level, you have these side-scrolling platform type games that you play, which look great. Those are the ones that really take a lot of elements from old cartoons that you recognize, and they're fun, but they're not especially challenging. Now, I'm not going to complain too much about that because, like I said, they're just a glorified loading screen. I give them respect for giving you something to do in between going to another screen instead of
those were my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I thought that they were visually very cool and they were a lot of fun.
And they were more Disney-esque than the actual game itself.
Yeah, and Jason and I were talking about some of the story elements and some of the design decisions. There are parts where they're telling the story and it's done with text and visuals, and I don't know. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's the animator in me, but I thought like it was a very limited 2D style of animation that I thought that they could have done a little bit better. And they probably could have done with voice work. Now, I'm not going to be picky about the voice work, but I don't like the very flat, limited animation 2D style that they chose for those story element scenes.
It made South Park look like Pixar.
Wow.
Yeah, those flat. It was like those internet jib jab videos where you can put your own faces to elves. That's what it looked like to me. That's what those cutscenes. I was like, what?
Now, if I may just play my Disney geekdom here. So, Corey, I take it that you're not familiar with Mary Blair. She was an Imagineer that pretty much created the look of It's a Small World and Sleeping Beauty to some extent. and that was what the 2D animation cutscenes were based off of, essentially, because most theme park fans are a fan of her work in one way or the other. They either find it really cute and endearing, or they just like the graphic style of it.
I myself don't mind the graphic style. In fact, Sleeping Beauty is one of my favorite films because of its graphic style. But keep in mind, it was a very graphic style done with full animation. Now, looking at this, it's very, like I said, they're just glorified illustrations, which is fine. And it's not so much that I have a problem with that even. And the animation wouldn't have bothered me too much. I think it's just the kind of like the construction paper cutout look of it. But when you go from, here's my deal. When you go from such a dark looking game that has such a visual style to it, which I kind of appreciated, and to go into these cutscenes, which are just kind of like colorful paper cutout kind of animations or illustrations, it just didn't blend together too well for me. That's all. I mean,
yeah, and it's like, it's Disney. For God's sakes, if anyone's gonna have a good animated cutscene, why not Disney?
Yeah, that is true. And speaking of the story here, and Zeke, I mean, feel free to disagree. Please do it. That's why you're here. I wasn't too thrilled about the story either. The story, for one, it just seems like more of a who's who or what's what of Disney animation than actually going into a whole cohesive story. And now, this isn't a complaint on this part, but I want people to keep in mind now, when they first start showing images of Epic Mickey, and I first saw them on Spill, some people were posting images up, they looked like the apocalypse. It was kind of like Mickey Mouse was just fucking up the world. It was almost like Disney mixed with The Road. It was like so dark. And
well, Goofy, I'm gonna have to eat you now.
No.
Mickey ain't starving, bitch. Times are tough.
Yeah, the game was revealed to us at first, especially at E3 and in the concept art before, to be a very dark, frightening looking game. Everybody's like, "Whoa, shit, Mickey Mouse ain't playing no more right here." But when you get the game, it's not that dark. It's a very family oriented game. It is a kids game, and
well, it's dark.
Right.
It's dark for Disney's standards. I mean, Tim Burton was one of their animators for Black Cauldron, and even they said, you can't draw the Horn King like that because that's too dark. So it's more like, this is as dark as Disney feels comfortable with their product at this point. And in their defense, yeah, it's probably the darkest you'll get to see Disney for a while.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. Like I said, I'm just saying it's not what people expect it to be. Everybody thought it was going to be maybe something like Kingdom Hearts darker, like going a little bit darker than that. And not Kingdom Hearts isn't very dark, but I mean, with this, they were like saying, okay, now this is trying to like trump Kingdom Hearts. They're gonna make like maybe a game that's for teens and maybe little kids with discretion.
No, Kingdom Hearts is definitely the teens game. Epic Mickey is the dark Disney game for like Disney fanatics.
Yeah, it is rated E for everyone.
I wanted to see Disney's Walking Dead.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be great. Especially, hey, when we're done with this, Jason, I need to find you images for Phantom Manor, the Haunted Mansion in Paris, because that sucker is dark as hell.
Nice.
It's literally Disney's Walking Dead.
Nice. Well, I don't expect them to like make this like too crazy dark. I mean, when I got it, I was like, okay, it's not what I expected, but it is a kid's game, and for what it is fun. Let me go ahead and get to the positive things on this, because we have been just like painting our own thinner all over this game and shitting all over it, and it's not
Time
that.
to switch to the paint.
Yeah, it's time to switch to the paint. Yeah, no, let's paint it up now. I did enjoy the game. The whole mechanics of playing with the thinner in one hand and the paint in the other, and going in and destroying our paint in the world. I thought that was a lot of fun, man. I just being able to I don't know, this sounds nasty, but just being able to squirt paint all over everything was just really cool. And
I called Corey up while he's playing it, and he's going, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
take all that paint, bitch."
then I looked down, it was actually my penis in my hand. I was like, oh, wait a minute, what happened?
That is not rated E for everyone.
No, not my game. It ain't. Not Corey's version of Disney World. It ain't. No, it was a lot of fun doing that, and I think that's, you could compare it to like Mario Sunshine, but I think that this still is probably a more original take on that kind of control scheme, which is very good for something like the Wii. This is kind of what these are kind of play mechanics the Wii is made for.
And there's a lot of stuff in the environment that you could paint and thin out. I mean, there may be a pit there, but you don't see that faint outline where you could actually paint a safety net and walk across it no problem. It's amazing how much you could actually interact with the environment.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say it's challenging too, speaking of the environments. I mean, yeah, it's a platformer, but it's a fun 3D platformer that those things that you don't see all the time, you know, you could say that that's unfair. I didn't see it, and the only thing you can blame for that is the camera. But a lot of times there's a hint of something there, and they want you not to like see it the first time around. They don't want to make it too obvious. You have to kind of look and see. There's certain things in the game that really challenge you to figure it out. They have these platforms that spin around, and you have to land on them. And it took me a while to figure out. Oh, I have to like thin out the gears to make it stop, and paint the gears again to make it go to the. And then you use that sort of painting and thinning to get that platform to the right level to where you can jump on it. It's things like that that I thought were very clever when it was used with the with the paint and the thinner mechanics of this. You know, it played very well to those strengths. I mean, I don't know, Jason, you seem to not like that.
It annoyed the hell out of me. I wanted more setting people on fire and Mickey going, God, this is fucking annoying. I could go away for a couple of months, and this is the shit that I come back to. You know, I don't know. I thought, you know, some of the mechanics were actually pretty cool, but I thought that if you took away the Disney aspect of it, you have a very standard platformer. And that whole painting and thinning thing really saved the game because I didn't think it was Disney enough. I didn't think it felt Disney. They might have had some Disney references in there, a lot of them, but I didn't think it felt Disney. And so really you had to rely on that painting and thinning mechanic, which was cool. And Zeke's right. There were a lot of things that you could interact with, but I thought that a lot of that was sabotaged by the camera sometimes because I'm trying to paint stuff while I'm running from something, and it is really difficult to aim one direction, move the other direction.
Painting and running at the same time seems to be like you have to know what you're doing. I've only been able to do it once in the entire playtime, but that's like, you know, when you do it correctly, it's literally, you know, Mickey's golden moment. Because I was chased once by a bunch of like splatters, and then I realized, hey, there's a wall here that I thinned out. Turned around, hit the paint button, and all the enemies ran into the wall like they would in a cartoon.
Shit, I was so scared. Man, what's that?
I was just going to ask, did you guys, Jason was saying it didn't feel like Disney. Did it feel like Mickey Mouse? I mean, do you feel like this is like, you know, like a real Mickey Mouse type of game, or could it have been any character in the role of Mickey Mouse?
Story-wise, it had to be Mickey, but that's if you let the story go with it. Otherwise, I see Jason's point clear as day. But that's where I believe the game is actually the strongest, because Disney has always been about, well, ever since they merged with Pixar, they've been all about the story. And with this one, the story is probably the strongest point, at least for me. It is, because you're essentially, if you allow yourself, you get to be Mickey for a moment, and it's like, where am I? What is this world? Who are you? What are you doing here? And then as everything gets revealed, you end up realizing, wow, this place is really, really depressing. These characters are really great, and I love them all. Why can't I save them?
Yeah, and you know, and even though I might have not been as crazy about the story as you are, Zeke, or I've complained about it not being dark enough. I mean, everywhere you go, it is kind of depressing because there's slime all over everything. Like there's this green ooze, which is supposed to be the thinner, that's just kind of making you see parts of the world that are colorful and pretty and beautiful, and it's like that old whimsical Disney that we know, but then other parts of it look like there was a Exxon oil spill.
Yeah,
all
it
over
was
the
like
place.
It was like Mickey Goes to New Orleans.
Yeah, you know, you just want to like pick these characters up and clean them off like you would like a bird that was caught in an oil spill out, you know, off of the coast. And it was like that made you kind of nervous about falling into it when you're having to jump around. I mean, everywhere you go, there is this dread of like, oh, am I going to fall into thinner and die? And so that really worked to full effect for me right there. And even though that there's some parts that didn't really make sense to me, like there's one part where you find the Nautilus, which I guess is from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So to get to another world, you have to go through a projector, and that's like, and it teleports you to another section. Well, you have to raise a Nautilus, which is like it's a submarine, and you jump to the projector, and then the submarine takes you to another world. And it's like, well, if I'm jumping through the screen and teleporting, why did the submarine have to take me to this new place? But
They established early on that you're supposed to be fixing these projectors as you find them, but even then, it's just there for, as a thing that's like, oh, hey, you remember the submarine ride that used to be at Disneyland? We had the Nautilus there. Here it is, back again. And I just like the look of it because that particular area that you're in, it is probably one of the coolest looking areas ever as far as like the design goes, because that's what was on the drawing board at one point in the theme park's history. That was supposed to be a physical location at one point in their life.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I think that even though some of it didn't make sense to me, that was my point. A lot of this just didn't. That's what I'm talking about. The story. It just seemed like, well, the story is just like kind of serving to get you from one part of the game to the other, where it started out with a strong concept that didn't always follow through. But these levels look cool. There are several levels in this game which take you back to just different parts of just Disney. Of Disney lore, Disney eras, and all kinds of stuff.
You mentioned the Nautilus. I mean, did you run into like Maximilian from Black Hole or Tron or anything like that, or is it all cartoon characters?
Tron is featured heavily in the Tomorrow City area, mostly in the look, and like I said earlier, with the boss fight with Pete's cousin, who apparently has taken on the persona of Petetronic. And it's really great too, because if you use paint on him, he turns from that bad guy green to the good guy blue. And if you defeat him using thinner, he ends up getting deleted the same way that the NPC did.
Nice. There's a lot of great level design in here. I think Warren Spector, who we were just talking about this, Kevin, who did like System Shock and
Days X.
Yeah. He was all over this game. He's apparently has a great love for Disney. I mean, I think the guy's a good designer, great designer, and it shows in this game. And because of that, I have to say, one level of when I will get through one level of the game, I would look forward to going to another level. I mean, might not have just kept up or been compelled by the story, but it did compel me enough to want to move on with the gameplay. So look, I'm a grown man. I have fun with it. I think the game, when you get the younger kids who are playing, might be a little frustrating for some of the younger kids out there. But you get an 8 to 12-year-old playing this. I think it's a lot of fun, and I can't be too harsh on the game. I mean, for anybody who loves Disney, for anybody who is a younger gamer, definitely I think it's a full price for them. I myself, I would have felt better buying this at a bargain, but nevertheless, I had a lot of fun with it, despite my complaints. But it just slight disappointment. Yeah, it's there.
I kind of wish that I could observe younger gamers playing this game, because there comes a point in the last third of the game where things get really scary, and I'm kind of wondering how an 8-year-old would handle that, because the last part of the game, you're pretty much running through the environment, doing everything you've done before platforming wise while it's being destroyed. And that can get pretty nerve-wracking at times, because you'll jump onto a chandelier, and then when you jump onto the next platform, which is like the broken part of a staircase, the chandelier will fall, and that pretty much says, oh crap, you have a point of no return. And 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds and all those kind of tween age gamers, they probably get used to that. But I'm just kind of curious how an 8-year-old would probably handle that. It's like, oh no, I lost my safety net. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah, well, if you're an 8-year-old pussy, maybe you'll cry about it. But you got kids who are 8-year-olds cutting heads off for the Mexican cartel. They'll be all right. The kids okay. But yeah, Jason, no, you're the main sourpuss over here. What would you?
Boring. No, it was okay. There was a lot to like about it. I just felt like it was a big missed opportunity. I mean, I joke about wanting Mickey to set shit on fire and stuff like that, but this, you might as well have, because it didn't just feel Disney enough for me. Because I've got a bunch of those old cartoons, like the Silly Symphonies and the old black and white Plutos and Mickeys and Donalds and all that from the 30s and 40s or whatever, and those are great. And the only time I really felt like I was involved or interacting with those was in those little projector cut screens that were between levels, which was a kind of a 2D side scroller type thing. Those were fun, but there wasn't enough of them, and that was just all kind of muddied by the regular game, which was just too dark and frustrating with the camera. So yeah, rental, I think.
All right then. Well, Zeke.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being here, man, and agreeing to doing this. Here's the deal, Zeke. Since we both have come out the closet to reveal ourselves as two Disney-loving gay men, we'll go on a date. We'll dress up in our prettiest princess outfits, and we'll compare notes. How about that?
That works. I call Mulan though.
Oh, that's okay. I want to be Jasmine. She's my shade of color anyway. All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. Anytime, buddy.
Listen to Jason. You homophobe, you. Are you a Disney? What's that?
Don't forget who got you the Twilight Zone, dude.
Oh, I remember that full well. I'm just shaking my head and Corey dressing up like an Arabian princess.
Jesus Christ, Zeke. You know what? You are paying for dinner. You got me nothing.
Had I known what events would follow, I would have locked away everything. Paint, brush, and thinner.